And so, guys, I'm afraid we're not successful like the Winners Church. Look around. We're not successful. But every person here is involved in some kind of ministry, in prayer, in sending out cards, in doing things for others, in blessing others. Ministry happens. No, we're not classified as the winners. We're classified as the faithful, continuing to struggle. What would we do with $60,000? Would that not be wow?
We faint.
Huh?
We faint.
Well, we probably wouldn't struggle the way we struggle.
I don't think we buy Krispy Kreme.
No, we wouldn't buy Krispy Kremes. I think what we would do is we'd visit some nursing homes, and we'd make sure that people had some things, supplies that they needed. We'd go to the Presbyterian Night Shelter and make sure that they had sandwiches and things for them. We'd go to the Union Gospel Mission and make sure that they had enough food to feed the homeless and the people that they're serving. We'd make sure that Eastside Ministries has enough food and clothes, and we'd have school supplies for kids that can't afford it. And a roof. And those kinds of things, because that's what success in God's eyes is. Bearing one another's burdens, blessing one another, going and giving to others. Blessing, so that we will be blessed. That's what we're called to do. And He sends us out with one set of clothes. And did you notice? No bag of money. No bag of money. We would have to depend on the love and care of others. Well, through the years, we've done that. And I just love Alice giving us her story, $2 more. How many times have we been in trouble and all of a sudden we've always had enough? We can always look back and say, Lord, look at what you have done for us, because we keep our eyes on Him. And as long as we are faithful with what He gives us, then we will be blessed. I have to tell you this week, I could have shared it then, but it is amazing. I go to Luby's with a friend, and we're sitting there having lunch. And this woman who is to provide you tea or whatever, she comes up and she says, I'm here to serve you. Whatever you need, just let me know. I haven't seen that in a long time. And this lady's about 60 years old. And she's got white hair, she's black, and she is just bubbling all over. And it was such a gift. And by the time she had brought us tea for the second time, I just said, what you have given me is your smile and the joy that I see in you. And all of a sudden, this woman starts giving me her life story. Yes.
I get the feeling this happens quite a lot.
Yes. This woman is 60 years old. She's had 7 children. One has just received, her youngest, a scholarship for Baylor. She has another daughter who is a junior in college. But you see, she is most grateful to God for her oldest son, who is alive. He is serving a life sentence in jail for murder. But you see, he was a member of the Crips, and he could be dead. And he had a wife and 4 children. And here he is in jail, and she says, and he's alive. He could have been one of the other people in the gang who are dead. I praise God he's alive. And she's having to raise those 4 children. And she is praising God that she has those 4 children, and she has the ability to work so that she can raise them. And she is testifying to the wonderful gift of God and what He has done in blessing her. The witness of God's loving gifts. And she praises Him because her son is alive. In jail, but alive. And then another friend of mine and I were at Logan's last night. We were having dinner. And there was a man who was sitting at a table. And, we were just there, and things weren't, what we were used to. Usually, you get waited on, this kind of thing. And this man was sitting there, and he hadn't gotten waited on. And finally, one young man waited on him. And as we were eating, I said to him, well, I'm glad you got waited on. Well, that was an opening. That was an opening for his life story. And it was so neat because this man is praising God. He says, oh, I've had a rough day. I had to mow my lawn twice. He says, my wife and son were supposed to come home, but the car broke down. But her brother was there, and so they'll be able to come home tomorrow. And he was just praising God, and he's 52 years old. And you see, he's praising God because his wife and he had been married 17 years, and they were told they couldn't have a child. And they wanted a child. They wanted one so badly. And guess what? He has a child. A boy. And he is so grateful. But all of a sudden he says, I realize that I may not see my child live. He weighed over 500 pounds. And he said he kept praying to God, Lord, you've given me the child, but will I live to see my child grow? He has lost 165 pounds. He is praising God and saying, I'm going to live. And I'm going to see this boy. And I looked at him knowing pretty well what I thought he might name his child. I said, what did you name him? Now, I was thinking in the Old Testament either Eli or Samuel. From Hannah's Samuel or Eli, meaning God's gift. He says, I named him Eli. Yes! And his sharing of his story was a gift. And he was witnessing not just to us, but there were people around who were hearing this story of a man who'd had a terrible day. And yet, like he said, my father always said, it's a blessed day. It's a blessed day. And he said, and I finally asked my dad, what does that mean? And he says, when I can get up out of bed, it's a blessed day.